Wow. All right. Better not be shit now, eh? Thank you for coming. It's an absolute pleasure to be here. Genuinely. But I'm more glad that you're here, because if you hadn't been, this would have been one of the shittest nights of my life. It's lovely to be in London. I live in London. I've just been working in a place called Brazil. I don't know if you're aware of this. I'm not saying I was a big deal. I am a big deal in Brazil. I'm not saying that. I'll just tell you one story. You can judge for yourselves. I was getting some food in the Olympic Park, right? And I was being served by a guy, and he was from Brazil. And he looked at me, and I saw him smile, and I thought, here we go. And then he looked across at his mate who was working with him, and he called him over, and he pointed at me, and they were laughing and pointing at each other, going, oh, look. And they were talking, and they were going, Portuguese, Portuguese, but that's not what they were saying. If he'd done that, the other one would have gone, sorry, are you having a breakdown? No, but what I heard, right, he called his mate over, he went, oh, Portuguese, 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 Ed Sheeran, Portuguese, I was really excited. I looked behind me, Ed Sheeran's here, unbelievable. He was nowhere to be seen, they've been having me on all along. It's good to be back in London. I've lived in London now for 10 years, bloody hell. I lived in flat shares. I now live with my girlfriend. I don't like flat sharing. My final flat share, I lived with a man who couldn't handle being an adult, no good at it. To give you an idea, the moment I realised I had to move out, the moment it reached its peak was when I got a phone call from him one morning. I was out, he said, Josh, we've had a bit of an incident. I've managed to flood the landing. And initially I thought, well, that's an interesting use of the word managed. That implies he's been trying to do it for fucking ages. Well, there's no taps. This is a lot more of a challenge than I thought. I'm gonna have to run a hose pipe down from the bathroom. This is what he said. He said, Josh, I've had a bit of an incident. I've managed to flood the landing. I said, how did you do it? These are his words. He said, what happened was I fell asleep in the shower, covering the plug hole with my arse. Well, that isn't a thing. You can't just say that like that's a thing. I mean, that has never happened before. First, phone a plumber. Second, phone the Guinness Book of Records. So, well, didn't you wake up when you fell asleep and fell over? He said, oh no, I was a bit tired halfway through, so I just had a bit of a lie down.